Hi, Nayana, Sai. How are you both doing?
Hi, Sunit. Yeah, good.
Hi Sunit, uh, very nice to be with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Firstly, welcome to the Supply Chain Insider. It's the series in which we speak with supply chain experts and supply chain leaders in various domains in India and across the globe. I'm happy to host you, and it's a special podcast for me because I share an alum network with both of you from IIM Calcutta. I believe you both studied supply chain and a lot of other stuff related to supply chain at IIM Calcutta. I did my executive MBA slash business management from IIM Calcutta. So this is a special one. And moreover, this is the first podcast for both of you. It is much more exciting to host you and learn from you.
Thank
Uh,
you so much, Sunit.
Yeah. So, peeps, we have Naina and Sai. They are experts in different domains in supply chain. One from sourcing and one from forecasting and demand, supply, etc. And we have Sai joining us from UAE. Naina, of course, she's from India here. So let's learn about them on what sourcing looks like and what forecasting is all about. Naina, do you just want to talk about what role sourcing plays in the overall supply chain?
Yeah. So, supply chain actually starts with the procurement, and the sourcing is a part of procurement. So, if your start will be good, then your end result will also be good. So, in
Yeah,
that way, sourcing is very plays an important role in supply chain.
yeah, I agree. I believe the supply chain's core model also has sourcing in it. When you source, plan, make, deliver, and return, sourcing becomes a key aspect in this. And talking about planning, I believe Sai can add on to this. Sai, do you want to talk about what planning and forecasting looks like and what role it plays in the overall supply chain industry?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, the demand planning is the process of forecasting the demand of a particular product or a service, and it is basically to ensure that the right product is there in the right quantities and in the right place. So that is where the whole part of the supply chain comes, and demand forecasting plays a very important role because it's directly something related to the it is an input to your all your inventory levels and everything across the business. And if I talk more about how exactly this planning comes into picture, the planning side of the supply chain typically consists of the demand planning side, wherein
Yeah,
you're giving the demand of an item, and finally
yeah,
it is responsible for like going into your transportation and then like how you exactly move the product from one place to the another. So initially there was no concept of the supply chain as such. We are all talking about the movement or the transportation, and slowly in 1980s or somewhere we are 1982 to be precise, wherein we are talking more about the supply chain side of it. And demand forecasting in the recent years has gained like a lot of popularity, you can say, because the retailers or the business people are more concerned about how much inventory they want to have it in the business. Basically
yeah,
there are two things wherein if your forecasting is going wrong, then you either end up having more of inventory or you will end up in the stockouts. So there are two situations. So as an ideal demand planner, we need to ensure that the stock levels are exact or like based upon how much is the demand, and that is where your supply should balance that. So there
correct.
should not be any situation wherein you are leading into over forecasting or under forecasting.
Yeah, yeah. I can't agree more, Sai, because everything that you forecast is actually hitting the P&L of the company. If you
Right.
forecast less, then you're not fulfilling the customer, and that in turn impacts the finances of the company.
Right.
And I believe sourcing and planning together play a lot of, they play a big role in themselves because whatever you forecast has to be procured by the sourcing as well.
Yeah.
So with that, Nayana, would you want to talk about what challenges you usually see in sourcing and how does a challenge or how does sourcing change when commodities change? Because we procure
Yeah.
for infrastructure, we procure for perishables, etc. I believe demand forecasting and sourcing will change for each of those commodities. Do you want to hit on top one or two issues about or challenges that you have faced in sourcing and procurement?
Yes. So in my role, so biggest challenge was the COVID. Actually, COVID has gone before more than 1 year, but still we are facing the impact of the COVID situation. So that was the toughest challenge for us because we were not getting material on time. Lead time issues was there, and when we were asking to the basically uh, looking for the electronics commodity. So basically, I
Okay.
will talk about it.
Sure.
And for example, IC, if we are procuring IC, then the OEMs was giving the this example like raw material shortage is there, so we don't have the control on that. So basically, typically this was the answer, and then because of the this traveling issues or logistics issues was also there. There was only one port. In China, Shenzhen, so everybody knows that, and there was so much rush on the port, and because of that, also the this procurement delivery was getting delayed. So that was the biggest challenge, and how we overcome on that. So we have find the alternatives of what we are using currently in our
Mm-hmm.
product. So alternative either in the material form or in the supplier form. So we
Mm-hmm.
prefer local suppliers or this nearby supplier who can provide us the material. So that was the challenge I faced in my career. And second, you asked about the commodity. So
Yeah.
yes, there are different commodities we forget for that. And like in electronics, we basically check for the date code. So date code is
Mm-hmm.
kind of like it should be within 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It is mandatory because if it is the date code is more, then the product will not work how you are expecting.
Yeah.
So if we consider about the like liquid commodity, then you should check for the shelf. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Shelf life is there,
Yeah.
the concept
Yeah.
is there. Then if you go for the cold supply chain, then it is again the another commodity, and you have to deal with it accordingly. So if you go with the service procurement, if you go for the services, then your strategy will be different for that. So this is how
Yeah.
the procurement, like your base will be same, the process
Mm-hmm.
you will follow will be same, but as per the commodity, you have to change your strategies to deal with it. There
Oh
will
yeah.
be a few particular parameters that you have to follow for each and every commodity.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can relate to whatever you spoke because procurement has a bigger umbrella when you procure a service or when you outsource some work to someone or some organization. That's a part of procurement too. And when you actually procure some commodity, a physical commodity, that falls into procurement too. I believe you have to be strategic enough to crack a deal when it comes to outsourcing or procuring people or people services versus any
Yeah.
commodities. I agree how that can change. Thanks for that insight, Naina. Sai, when I talk about forecasting, the first thing that comes to my mind is forecasting error, and I believe that's a very challenging factor in any organization to overcome because as we spoke about the financial impact that forecasting can cause, this becomes a big challenge. Do you have any critical factors that one have to consider while forecasting, or let me put it this way, what factors that we consider usually critical which can reduce the forecasting error, because that will
Yeah.
in turn tell sourcing how much to procure and further how much to produce and how much to deliver. Do you have any insights on
Yeah,
that?
sure. So basically, whenever we are talking about the forecast error or forecast accuracy, so
Yeah.
there are certain industry standards which we are following at the moment. One is your calculation of MAPE, which is mean
Mm-hmm.
absolute percentage error, and the forecast
Mm-hmm.
bias which we calculate. But there are certain
Mm-hmm.
factors, as you mentioned, that whenever we are doing forecasting, we take into consideration certain factors. So I can put
Yeah.
it that as in both like internal as well as external factors. Okay, let's go into the internal factors first. Like, I'm coming
Yeah.
from a pharmaceutical kind of an industry at the moment. So let's
Mm-hmm.
take an example of COVID situation. So whenever there was a COVID, we initially forecasted, we couldn't able to predict the forecast of the sanitizer. Let's take the example of a sanitizer.
Yeah.
Yeah. the sanitizer sale like shoot up like anything during the COVID time. And initially
Yes.
there was no stock available. All the companies or whatever the manufacturers, they were going out of stock, and all the retailers were going out of stock. So there are
Yes.
certain situations wherein it has a global, like an economic or an outside impact, which is causing the impact to the forecasting. So
Hmm.
the example for that is a classic example of a sanitizer. And
Yeah.
there could be an example like wherein whenever you're doing a forecasting, the picture of competition also comes into picture, like the
Hmm.
competitor advantage or the competitor move. If you are
Yeah.
selling an iPhone, let's say like iPhone 14, which is having all the good features, and none of
Hmm.
the items there doesn't have that, so you independently
Yeah.
sell that item without any kind of an there are no external factors which are impacting that. But if at all, if
Yes.
you're having a product which is similar to the market, like which is already
Hmm.
existing in the market, then you have a certain
Hmm.
approach in forecasting. And
Hmm.
also the price plays a very important factor as well. Like whenever the
Correct.
price is like lower, then the demand for the product goes up, and accordingly you
Correct.
have to fine tune the forecast of a product. And if at all, if there is a product which has got like absolutely on the higher side, and nobody is producing the product, and only a
Hmm.
niche product is there, like an exclusive kind of a car which has got like only specific features, so then that
Hmm.
car will be priced at a level, and then it has got its own demand. So
Yes.
basically it is like based on the product, you can talk about like how the factors are depending. And also the kind of promotions you put or the advertising you make it on a product, it will have an impact on the forecast as well. Let's say you're
Got it.
promoting a certain item in a specific sale period, so then you
Hmm.
need to ensure that you are having the inventory also along with you, along with that. So your forecast is depending upon your the type of advertisement or the type of promotion you are doing on a product. So there
Got
are
it.
certain internal as well as certain external factors while you're doing the forecasting.
Okay. Yeah, so you would categorize these into two, one, the internal factors and the external factors. I
Correct.
believe internal factors are much more controllable, but
That's
external
correct.
factors are uncontrollable. The
Correct.
classic example could be COVID.
Correct.
Got
So
it. Got it,
basically,
Sai.
what we do is that like we have a monthly SNOP meeting, like a sales and
Hmm.
operation planning meeting, wherein we
Okay.
discuss all these kind of a things. Let's say the next month there is a promotion which is happening
Hmm.
because I deal with the retail. My experience comes from the retail. So we
Yeah.
have certain kind of a promotions wherein we need to uplift the quantities of the thing, because we know that if
Hmm.
the product is on sale, definitely the numbers
Hmm.
will, we need to have a certain kind of an inventory for them. So we need to fine tune the forecast basically based upon if there are any kind of a promotions which are happening. So in the regular SNOP meetings which we have with all the management, let's say the marketing will provide their inputs. From the demand and supply side, we have some certain inputs. And when
Yeah.
everything has been discussed, we get this particular document signed off with the top management saying that in order to hit this number or this particular budget for the promotion which is happening, we need to have a certain number of inventory, certain inventory should be there. And
Hmm.
also the marketing campaign should be done in such a way that we hit the numbers.
Hmm.
As you mentioned, that this is all again linked to the PNL, the profit and
Yeah.
loss of the company.
Correct.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah, that's a good summary, Sai. Thanks for that. Nayana, coming to you, we spoke about alternative supplies from different suppliers or for different commodities. When I think about COVID as a situation, I believe being supply resilient is very important. When you know that we are going to take a hit from one of the suppliers on whatever supply we've been getting from that supplier, uh, switching to an alternative supplier becomes very crucial at that time. So, do you
Yeah.
want to talk about supply chain resilience, or how do you build this? Are there any frameworks or strategies that any any startup or any organization wants to start sourcing any commodities? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, yeah. So if we go with the bigger organization, so
Mm-hmm.
they are having already approved supplier database.
Okay.
So how they segregate, like
Mm-hmm.
depend on the spend. We do spend
Mm-hmm.
analysis and then
Mm-hmm.
segregate the supplier. Like high spend
Yeah.
suppliers will go to the strategic suppliers, and then
Mm-hmm.
middle spend and small spend. So in that way, we can like if your strategic supplier can't provide you this material on time, then you can go with the middle scale and then
Okay.
lower scale. So that is how you can select the supplier,
Mm-hmm.
existing supplier, because it is already approved by your database, approved by the system. So it is more reliable.
Yeah.
If you go with the other supplier, out of your system, then you
Mm-hmm.
have to make sure of few of the things, like am I getting the genuine product? That is the
Mm-hmm.
main. Like quality
Yeah.
shouldn't be
Yes.
decreased there. We can't compromise on the quality. The quality should be there. So for that, we check for the source, from where it is sourcing.
Mm-hmm.
If it is sourcing from some third party or some China, when
Mm-hmm.
it is not fulfilling our date code thing or the main criteria,
Mm-hmm.
so then we can't go with that supplier. So that's how. So first is a quality for me. Second is a price. Is it the price is competitive or not?
Yeah.
And third is delivery. So he's promising me the delivery, but can he give it? So we can
Mm-hmm.
go with, like, we can check for the reviews of the supplier, like how we go online and then check the reviews of the
Yeah.
product. So that is that is how
Oh,
we
wow.
can take a help of our peers, like
Mm-hmm.
other. If you have any friend who is working in other company, and they are also suggesting you that this supplier we are buying and then it is good, so you will go
Mm-hmm.
definitely with that supplier. So that's how you can introduce the new supplier in your system.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
What are your sources to review suppliers usually? Is it just your peer network or any open
Uh,
source that anyone can refer to?
yeah. So basically, I will introduce one software which we generally use. That is a
Mm-hmm.
Silicon Expert.
Okay.
Maybe you know about it, and it is basically for the electronics components.
Okay.
So we go with that. In that Silicon Expert, you will get the database of supplier as well
Mm-hmm.
as the database of parts. If you are in a search of any part and
Mm-hmm.
it is not available, then they will suggest you alternate part also. So they have that
Okay.
database, and the supplier who are enrolled there are
Mm-hmm.
already verified by this system, a Silicon
Okay.
Expert. So
Oh,
that is
okay.
one thing we use.
That will
Yeah.
be very helpful for people who want to source, especially
Yes.
electronics. Oh, that's something new I learned today. Thanks for it, Naina. Okay. Sai, one question for you on planning again.
Yeah.
So I believe for you to take decisions about forecasting or generating demand, you'll have to work with large sets of data. How do you usually manage to do that? Do you use some tool? I know Excel is one of the powerful tools, but that doesn't allow you to scale up as much or do that modeling for forecasting. Do you use any other tools, or what's the approach you usually take?
So we are using a couple of tools.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, when we started doing the demand planning side, as you mentioned, Excel was the only source. But slowly we are getting out of the Excel, and then the amount of time we spent on the Excel sheet, we want to
Mm-hmm.
reduce that, and then
Mm-hmm.
try using the methods or the tools wherein we are analyzing the data from the system point of view, and then only taking the decisions, wherein our expertise will come into picture. So we are currently using a tool called JDA, like the Blue Yonder
Okay.
solution,
Oh,
for the
okay.
demand and fulfillment, wherein
Mm-hmm.
the system has the capability in order to do all the data cleansing activities, you can say, because whenever there is a
Mm-hmm.
lot of data with you, then there is a definite chance that the data might be biased, or there might be certain peaks and valleys of the data, wherein certain,
Yeah.
let's say there is a promotion and there is a sudden spike in the sale. So we need
Yeah.
to cleanse the data wherein the system is giving like a lot of peak in the sale. So we need to cleanse
Yeah.
that data before we start using for that, for
Mm-hmm.
making any kind of decisions, especially for the forecasting. So once we feed the data, the last 3 years data into the Blue Yonder solution, it will
Mm-hmm.
cleanse all the particular data which is there,
Okay.
having a higher sale period and everything. and then it will
Mm-hmm.
normalize the data, and then that data can be used
Oh,
for taking the for, for all the forecasting purpose. And apart from the Blue Yonder thing, also we have got Oracle Mantra as well,
mm-hmm.
which can be used for the similar kind of an activities for data cleansing and everything.
Okay.
And there are certain other tools in the market as well, like the Kinaxis.
Mm-hmm.
The Kinaxis is one of the upcoming thing wherein it has been largely used for cleansing the data, doing the data cleansing activities. And also like a lot of retailers are using the big data analytics as well in order to
Okay.
churn the data and then use it for
Yeah,
a meaningful process and everything.
understood.
And
Okay.
also the concept of demand sensing is coming up, wherein
Mm-hmm.
it is using the complex algorithms in order to understand the data and extract the meaningful information out of it. So
Mm-hmm.
concept of the data sensing is coming up, which is using all the AI techniques as well.
Oh, that is new. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I definitely am eager to see what AI can do, both
yeah.
sourcing and demand forecast. Um,
Yeah, AI
if
is everywhere now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I
even for
agree.
the
Uh,
not that I'm vouching for Blue Yonder here, but they have something called Luminate solution, which the Blue
uh-huh.
Yonder has given, wherein it has the
Oh, okay.
capability wherein it can able to forecast the data based upon the data which you provided. You don't have to do any cleansing kind of a thing, but data will
Wow.
automatically pick it up and then it will forecast the things for you with minimal kind of intervention from the demand planner or whoever it is, like who is looking into that data.
Oh, that sounds so seamless. It'll save a lot of time for the planners, I believe.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. If I were to ask one challenge in either of your domains, we'll go with Naina first. What would you pick, Naina? One challenge
Uh,
across or one problem that you want to solve for sourcing and procurement. What would that be?
One problem I have to solve for sourcing.
Yeah, or what is the
Um,
challenge that you currently see in your career or role related to sourcing?
yes, yes. So as I mentioned that finding a alternative part and
Hmm.
alternative supplier who can who can give you the correct material on correct time with all the commitments and fulfilling all your terms and conditions is the challenge. And there are in India already there are so many small scale companies who have started their own manufacturing in this COVID situation. So
Okay.
we are checking for that suppliers also. We are giving them a chance to
Hmm.
grow their business, and so that's how we can solve this problem.
Okay. So we need alternative suppliers to get the right part in the right place at the right time and cost. So that is the
Yes.
biggest challenge. Okay.
Yeah.
Sai, how about you? What would you pick as a biggest problem or challenge for forecasting? I know
So
forecasting error is one of them, but I want to hear from you.
yeah, basically, I mean, I have been transforming within the different roles in the supply chain as well. I started my career as a merchandise planner, then moved into demand supply planning, and then I was
Hmm.
managing the forecasting piece of it. Now I am currently into the digital transformation team. So I have seen like different roles within the supply chain as well. So for me, the biggest challenge is like adopting into the new kind of technologies which are coming day in and day out. uh,
Hmm.
as I mentioned to you earlier, we were doing all the forecasting in terms of an Excel sheet, but now we
Hmm.
are driving more into the system driven planning. So whenever you have the
Yeah.
system, it is all about like the whatever the data is going into the system, it will come out. Like it's same thing, like the garbage in garbage out kind of a thing. So you
Hmm.
need to ensure that whatever the data you put it inside the system should be very
Hmm.
much accurate, so that it will give you the correct kind of an output. So
Yeah.
it also for me, the challenge while moving into that kind of a digital kind of a solutions is that in terms of how much the people can respond to the change management also comes into the picture, because people
Hmm.
are used to certain kind of working before, and once
Yeah.
there are a new systems which we are they are supposed to use it in the next few upcoming months or so, People always have a change, resist the change. So in my role, it is like a challenging part in order to ensure that all the team members are in the same page. They are using the new systems, and they are coming out of the old kind of an old way of learning, and then they are
Uh-huh.
trying to use the new systems in a more appropriate way. So that for me is the more challenging part in my role.
Got it, Sai. I've been relating to this while you were speaking because change management is everywhere, not just in forecasting or sourcing, but one has to go through change management across their career journey. So I believe that indeed is a challenge. Thanks for calling that out, Sai.
No.
All right. It was great meeting you and learning about sourcing and forecasting. Thank you so much for spending some time. I look forward to learning about sourcing and procurement and more of supply chain within my career. And I also wish you both excel in both of your careers. That's all for today. Thank you so much. Any last thoughts or comments from you both?
I would say that everybody who wanted to start their career or they are already in the career of supply chain management or anywhere, you should update your knowledge by like everybody who is seeing this forecast. So they are here to gain some knowledge from us. So like that, you should be a magnet, and then you are capturing all this expertise from knowledge from the experts. So that is my suggestion.
That's a good one, Naina. Yeah.
Thank
Anything
you.
from you, Sai?
Yeah, I think people who want to start their careers and all in supply chain, they should have like the initial solid kind of a foundation. Basically, that is my thought process. Once the foundation is good enough, then they'll try to build upon that. And also, networking plays a very important role. Like whenever there is any opportunity to meet or be part of different forums in supply chain, I always recommend people joining the forums and learning from the experts as well. And also we should be in a position wherein we are learning the new technologies as well. Every day the technology is getting changed, or so we should be able to embrace the new technology. And also focus on the continuous improvement. Like whatever we are doing it, we should be doing that in a better way, whatever it might be, forecasting or anything, whatever it is, but we should focus on the continuous improvement. So those are my
Bang on.
thoughts about it.
Bang on, Sai. I can't agree more to continuous improvement and continuous learning too,
Yeah.
because both of these will take us a long way in your professional and personal careers as well. Okay. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Sunit.
so much.
Thanks.